Hello all, welcome back to Age's Perspective. Quick shout out and thank you actually for all of the feedback that I've got after my first video. That was not an easy one at all, nor did I expect it to be. But man, I mean, to open up and be vulnerable like that is not easy whatsoever. But again, I know I'm not the only one going through certain things, so thank you guys to who all reached out to me. It means so much. This is just the beginning of, I hope a successful channel and a safe place where people can come and kind of find an episode that resonates to them and let's connect. So I know that I said that I wanted to try and put out a video a week. The thing about it is Valentine's Day is on Friday, and I don't know about y'all, but I do not have a Valentine. But I did think that this was a good opportunity to kind of talk about love and kind of talk about some emotional and physical abuse that I've gone through in my past, because I'm finally just getting to a point where I'm okay with opening up about it and I'm okay with being vulnerable. Actually today during my group session, that was kind of like the topic of conversation, was a healthy relationship versus an unhealthy relationship. It kind of blew my mind because the paperwork that we were doing and filling out, I'm like, man, this paperwork has to be years old, years and years old. And I think what kind of overwhelmed me was the fact that it was a checklist, right? And you had to check everything that was a healthy relationship, that was part of a relationship, ex-relationship, whatever, and then check everything that was relevant on the unhealthy side for that same relationship. Everything I checked was for the unhealthy relationship side. It's very overwhelming because when you're in an unhealthy relationship, you don't necessarily know it. I can say in my adult life, I have only been in 2 relationships where we lived together, talked about a future together, talked about kids, talked about getting married and all of that. I've only really had 2 of those relationships, but they were back to back, so it's kind of been like the last 5.5 years of my life I have been in unhealthy relationships, and that has definitely contributed a lot to my addiction and the way that I cope and all of that. Now, I'm not too sure where I want to go with this video. I kind of want to talk a little bit about my past relationships and how they were unhealthy and how I really didn't see it until I was outside looking in, but also it was so hard to leave them and leave those situations, because when you get comfortable with something, when you get comfortable with a routine and then a person that's a part of that routine, whether it's unhealthy or not, whether you fight a lot or not, whether you love them or not, you just get used to this routine and you can't imagine life without it, because comfortability is so easy, it's so easy to be comfortable. Nobody likes being uncomfortable. But the thing about being uncomfortable is uncomfortability to me is just growing pains, and I've come to learn that as a life lesson. When you're uncomfortable and you decide to take a job, or you decide to leave somebody, or you decide to try something with somebody, or anything along those lines, uncomfortability is just growing pains, That's how I've looked at it anyways. So I could say that my first relationship was all kind of new to me. I got into it when I was 18, had just turned 18, was young, looking for, just validation from men has been something that I have looked for my whole life. My dad's situation is not a normal one. is very all over the place and very confusing. So as I got older and became more of a woman, getting just that feeling of protection and getting that feeling of just what a good man should have to offer was something that I craved day in and day out and day in and day out. But the only thing was, I was also insecure, right? So an insecure young little lady just looking for somebody to fulfill her daddy issues, and I hate that term, but I'm using it, fulfill that emptiness that is a man, and that protection and just all of that. Of course I'm gonna fall victim to somebody who was not right. But let me just say something. My first relationship had more, in the beginning, more good moments than it did bad. Super sweet. Oh, he was such a sweetheart. Now, we all deal with our demons, and we all have our demons to deal with. Again, like I said in my previous video, I had no idea how sensitive a person in recovery is. So when we got to using drugs together and I got introduced into the world of opiates and all of that, it was, I can't help but feel bad now, but I didn't know any better, so I'm trying to stop doing that. But I can only imagine what he was going through to have be going through this, but it was always his little secret. So now he's going through it with his girlfriend, me. I can only imagine, what he was going through, like as far as guilt, as far as all that goes. It was never expressed. And of course we've had those conversations like, dude, if we don't stop, this is not going to end up well. It's not. And there were a couple of times where it did get physical. That's when there was a lot of alcohol involved. That's when my insecurities came out. That's when his insecurities came out. That's when we were just at our lowest of lows as a couple, that it got physical. Now, I'm not validating anything. Physical fights in relationships are not okay. That is not something that should be okay or validated in any sort of form. But I can say that compared to the relationship that I am currently healing from was almost like nothing. And man, I shed blood in my first relationship, So this relationship I'm coming out of now, I kind of want to talk more about that one, because I just want to bring more awareness to mental health and what mental abuse can do to mental health. And I am somebody who I can confidently say have always tried to make a positive out of the negative. Always, 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 always. So then when it came to, finding men and talking to men, well, I've never really had a big amount of self-respect growing up. I don't have like some cute virginity story. I don't have some high school sweetheart, Anyway, so when it came to men, I didn't really have any boundaries set. I had no boundaries, I had no expectations, I had no guidelines to follow in what to look for in a man. So I'm just out here all willy-nilly with some daddy issues, with just wanting a man to love me and protect me and, just that fantasy shit. Well, it's realistic, but in my head it was a fantasy, and it was a fantasy that I wanted to fulfill. Now, when I came across my most recent ex, I was vulnerable. I had just moved to a city, a side of the country even, that I knew nobody. I was looking for a fresh start, and like I said in my previous video, I was doing really good. The CSO of the company is the person who recruited me. So I was already in with all the really important boss people. My ex was kind of, but not as much as I was. Of course, anyways, that's further down the road. But there was the assumptions that I was sleeping my way to the top, which is not true. It was not something that I did. But I was in a position to really make a name for myself. Now, vulnerable little old me, when some like stud top salesman, confidence a million, blah, 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 comes marching into my life, I'm like, okay, I see you. What's up? What's up? What's up? And then I start putting myself in his line of sight. That very quickly, again, true colors show once the paint starts to chip. Anybody can put on a facade. Anybody can be who they're not really. It's just like internet dating, right? This is what that was. I can kind of say that we were both kind of on that tip of just kind of representing something that we wanted to be, but we weren't quite there in reality. Although I was pretty not far off. But I was just so vulnerable and so weak and so not confident in myself that it was very easy for somebody with confidence, whether they were using it for right or for wrong, come in and swoop me up and, oh, I found him. Oh, he's great and blah, 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 blah. You know what? No. Salesman, the top salesman in the company, puts on facades all day long to convince people to get shit they don't even need. God, is that not a red flag? But look, I did not even put those puzzle pieces together till I was way just already fucked up. But anyways, so in the beginning, honeymoon phase, everything was cherry. We had a great time. We didn't hang out too much. I kind of noticed that he was at the casino a lot, but again, I didn't. I was very naive, so naive. Oh my God, if I could just go back and like, no, don't. Anyways, so the thing was, he was fresh out of a relationship himself. I was not. He was fresh out of a relationship with an older woman with kids, and he would tell me stories about how this woman came from, a strong marriage, strong household, same father to all the kids, and then, downfall happened, they got a divorce, now here come Gabe, oh, sorry, I wasn't going to use his name, whatever, here comes him, swooping in to be the Mr. Bad Boy that not every girl, but a lot of women are tempted by that bad boy who's, charming and knows what to say and totally a salesman. Ugh. A hustler, if you will. And he completely dragged her down a road that she had no business being in, and she's still involved in that lifestyle, bless her heart. Last I heard anyways, I don't know, it's been a while. And so if that wasn't the second red flag that I should have seen, but I was just like, oh, and you're a bad boy. Oh, and you're a hustler. But again, I was so just like into that lifestyle, that fast money, gangsta in the streets, running shit. Yeah, I was so into that. I wanted to be a trap queen at that time. I was into that life. So I was very attracted by him. Very. Because life is a boomerang. You're going to get back what you put out. I was putting out those vibes, I listen to rap music still, but now I have a different mindset about it. But like back in the day, I'd be like, ooh, I'm trying to be a bad bitch on that level, with the hustlers, and that's exactly what I got. But there are some guys who are in the streets who know how to respect a woman and know when they have something good, And so some time passed, paint started to chip. When we get into our fights, I'd be like, whoa, dude, that's not something that regular people just say to somebody. And it just got worse over time. And before I knew it, I was completely damaged, completely, like, if I had even a sprinkle of self-respect, self-confidence, self-endurance, anything, that was gone. Okay? There was I completely lost myself in him, trying to help him, trying to show him the fact that he deserved to live a life of happiness. He's a grown man. He had 10 years on me. If you don't know how to do it yourself by then, ladies, there's no way, or men, there's no way that, you can cry and try and pry all you want, but if they're not ready to do that on their own, you are just going to waste your time, your emotions, yourself, everything, and hurt yourself. Because before I knew it, I was the bad guy all of a sudden. I was doing the bad things, and I was doing this wrong and that wrong and this wrong and that wrong. And if I didn't do this, then he wouldn't act this way towards me. If I didn't do, all of a sudden everything just was flipped upside down, and I was a bad guy. I wasn't trying to be the bad guy. But now all of a sudden I have this guilt of being the bad guy and being the one that caused all this and being... Sorry, my camera pooped out on me. But anyway, so before I knew it, I was the bad guy. I was the one causing all the problems when that really wasn't the case. That was... Let me shut this. Oh, shit. That was a product of... I will just shut. Oh my gosh. Whew. Wow. Sorry, that was mission. That was a product of his own insecurities. So after going through all this mental abuse and then eventually getting to the point of believing it all and believing what he was saying was true and all that, came a time where I was so down under and I was so distraught that it was either his life or mine, I swear to you. And I was willing to sacrifice mine. It's just so heartbreaking that that even has to be a thing. So I guess my point of this video is this. If you question yourself just one time, is this really what I want? What's your answer? Right? Don't lie to yourself. The most damaging thing you could do is lie to yourself. The most damaging thing you could do is keep yourself in that situation. The most damaging thing you can do is force yourself not to believe and see what's really there. So, with Valentine's Day coming up, Valentine's, Shmalentines, man. Materialistic love holidays are just so lame. I feel like it's just like a way for people to feel bad if they don't have a Valentine. Get the fuck out of here. I understand when you're a kid and you make your little things and blah, blah, blah and pass them out. That's all fine and dandy. But when you're an adult and you actually feel sad, there's a holiday that makes you feel sad because you're not with somebody. I don't like that. Because even when I was with somebody, we didn't celebrate Valentine's Day. I'll tell you how we celebrated it. At the casino. We didn't celebrate Christmas. We didn't really do Thanksgiving. Holidays were taken from me. I let it happen, but they were taken from me. So if there's anything I can say, it's this holiday is stupid. Okay? It shouldn't take a holiday for somebody to express their love to you. That's what anniversaries are for. And if you have one, you have one. If you don't, not a big deal. You know? I hate that they have a whole holiday to just remind you that you're lonely or remind you that, oh yeah, I love this person, I better spend some money on them. I just don't really fuck with that, man. I don't really rock with that like that. I think every day should be Valentine's Day, and there shouldn't be a specific day for you to tell somebody that you love them. If you love them, you need to tell them that every day and mean it. Because there's some of us out there that are stuck in shitty relationships where it's all fake and it's all a facade due to comfortability, due to routine, due to all of that. I mean, a relationship can be a habit just as well as drugs can, just as well as cigarettes can. An unhealthy habit too. So for all of you guys out there that are not participating in Valentine's Day this year, don't worry, I'm not either, but I'm not sad about it. And you shouldn't be sad about it either. It's not that big of a deal. The fact that us as humans need to have a day to celebrate love, you're not missing out on much. So I say Valentine's, Shmalentines. If you're really feeling left out of Valentine's Day, what you need to do is love yourself. Treat yourself. Get yourself something, right? Take yourself to go do something that you love to do. It doesn't take a person to remind you of that feeling of love. Because if you don't feel that feeling of love towards yourself, then how are you ever going to show it to somebody else? So, sorry if this video was all over the place. I really just want to get something out for Valentine's Day because I hate Valentine's Day. I'm like the Grinch of Valentine's Day, but I just really don't think that it should take a holiday for people to express their love together. And that's coming from somebody who so badly wanted love from somebody for 2 years and never got that cup filled. So, you're special, and just because you're not with anybody doesn't make you any less special. Love yourself, treat yourself, and do something that you love to do if you're spending this stupid holiday alone. Okay? Thanks for watching. Again, sorry if this video is all over the place. I'm not sure my video will be next week, but thanks for watching. I got a couple subscribers now, so that's exciting. Hopefully that number will keep going up. I don't really want to be too much on the pushy side of make sure you like and subscribe, because that's not what it's about. I just am appreciative that you watched. So, I'll see you next time. Happy stupid holiday.